Matthew, Universal Studios is opening up a Donkey Kong Land. Oh man, I can't wait to see it. It'll be so cool to see the Claptraps, Chunky Kong, and best of all, King K. Rool. They actually said no to licensing K. Rool. So rumor has it that the Donkey Kong portion of Super Nintendo World will be missing the franchise's primary antagonist. According to a user claiming to be a park designer on Fanboards, Universal was trying to negotiate the gold-bellied croc for the park, but Nintendo said no. My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined. It's like a Mario Park without Bowser, or Disney World without a 40-year-old woman sobbing and hugging people in a suit. It's like you're in the right place, but something doesn't quite add up. Now that I mention it, Nintendo's merchandising arm has been very selective of what parts of the DK brand travel outside of the gaming medium. Besides the Mario movie, it's incredibly rare that any part of the worlds within Nintendo's purview are invented outside of the game studios. As a gaming company first, I can't complain about that. It makes sense, but there's a problem here. You see, the Donkey Kong franchise has been sort of, lacking in the game department, we'll say. The renders and assets that they do have come from way back in the Rare days, K. Rool's old stomping ground. The problem is that these renders, as vaporwave as they are, don't really fit in a modern theme park. So what did Nintendo do when Universal asked for K. Rool? They said, here you go, guys. This is, Professor Chops. This really got me thinking. Ever since K. Rool came to Smash Bros., we've been assuming that there would both be a new Donkey Kong game and that K. Rool would be in it. But is that really true? I have some doubts bubbling up like that one stage on Donkey Kong Country 2 Diddy's Conquest. For being the Bowser of the Donkey Kong world, K. Rool's had a tough time since the Rare buyout. Even though he continued to appear in the spin-offs, they kept playing around with erasing Rare's fingerprint on the series. It started with Jungle Beat, where they put Donkey Kong into a royalty-free landscape with miscellaneous creatures accompanied by his famous friend, the Helper Monkey. There he dukes it out with other first draft type of bosses like Sumo Kong and Karate Kong. Since this was the first major original Donkey Kong game in a while, the crazy change in identity didn't stick out too much. And honestly, it was kind of refreshing to see an established franchise play around with so many new ideas. And while the bosses aren't quite up to Rare standard, they're likable enough. Then we got to Donkey Kong Country Returns, a return to the 2D platforming that made the series so impactful in the Super Nintendo era. Here we would see another departure from basically any influence from Rare outside of a few Kongs. Squawks and Rambi made the cut, but everyone looks a lot more like they belong on a cereal box now. Now this kind of made sense. The DKC series was always built on technical fidelity, something the Wii was in short supply of at the time. Any attempt at realism would be laughable, and anything too stylistic might scare off the normies. So we have Donkey Kong and the Tikis. They're alright, I guess. Now, according to Retro Studios employees, they could use whatever they wanted of the previous material, but they just had so many new ideas, like this frog? I'll take them at their word. Then we have Tropical Freeze, where instead of the Kremlings, we have the Snowmads. These guys are a huge step up from the Tikis, which is consequently not saying a lot. They have a lot of personality in the way that they look and move. Like, look at this guy. He's so ill-equipped for the job, it's hilarious. He stands no chance, but he's got to make rent next month, so here he is. The bosses have these mini-arcs that give them some grounding. There's just one problem. This all culminates in the final boss battle, Frederick. The design is fine, but the execution is kind of wacky. Like, why does he feel so much like K. Rool? Is this supposed to be a reference? Like, hey Donkey Kong fans, doesn't this boss remind you of better boss battles? Apparently the One True King was supposed to return as a secret boss in the re-release of Tropical Freeze, but the story goes that Sakurai was planning on the big revival of the character in Smash and didn't want Funky Mode to steal that thunder. And honestly, that was probably the right choice. I can't really argue with that, but there he was, so close, yet so far away from returning to his own franchise. The Smash inclusion really stirred things up for the character though, and he remains one of the most interestingly designed, fun to play characters in Ultimate. That being said, it sort of kept Rool out of the franchise for who knows how many more years. All of a sudden, I'm not so sure he's coming back for the next DK game, or if there even is an next DK game, or who would even make it. Snap out of it! Oh, sorry. I got carried away there. Kind of like the time Nintendo released Donkey Kong Country Returns on 4 different systems, and how the Switch version that's coming out will be the only good version of the game. If you want to know more about that, check out this video here.